Good morning, everybody. It is Saturday. It's about 25 after 12. We've had a busy morning. My kiddos had an archery tournament this morning. They did not shoot real well. They've been off for the holidays, and they got a little bit of practice, but obviously not enough. They were a couple points less than they normally shoot, so they were disappointed. But, you know, not everybody was shooting a couple of points off today. The holidays always do that. It was the same way last year, so, you know, that's just the way it is. But we're home, and I wasn't going to spray paint today. Look at here, I got the heater in the shop, warming the place up. It's still pretty chilly out here, but that's going to help me be able to be in the shop for a while. I wasn't going to paint today, but my son has a science project at school. He has a solar-powered car. I guess you get them from online from some science kit place, and he bought this solar-powered car. And of course, you test it with incandescent bulbs, fluorescent bulbs, you know, just the sunlight, different, and you document which one produces the most light, which we all know which one that's going to be, right? Wink, wink. You know, but so he came to me today and he said, "Hey, Dad," he said, "can we paint my the wood today for this?" I mean, it doesn't really look like a car; it's just a block of wood, and everything mounts to it, the wheels and everything, and then it, you know, it rolls when the motor gets juice from the solar cell. So I told him, yeah, if he shook the paint up, I would, because I hate shaking paint. I told him I'd spray it, and I've got a couple of tubes here that I want to paint for some of the, I'm losing my words today, man. Use your words, Bob. For some of the other badges that I have cut out, and then some of the ones that my buddy sent me, I'm going to go ahead and paint. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, I've got 5 tubes here. And I've got 2 badges that are ready to go and 2, 4, 6 that he sent me. So I think what I'm going to do is paint up a couple of other tubes, have them ready to go so that I can just cut out those caps and put them right on the tubes when I get done. So I'm not going to do any casting today. It's just been too darn cold. My pot's been out in the garage, my casting pot. My resin is in the house, but I think I'm going to pass on that. I got some other stuff. I want to get a project or 2 done today, and then I want to do some experimenting with. I'd like to do some threading on some Alumilite to test out for kitless pins. I'll keep you guys posted on everything that happens, I promise. Well, guys, I've been turning away. This has been nerve-wracking for me, to say the least. I mentioned this in the video. One of the things that's on my turner's bucket list was to turn a Steve Kondo blank. If you don't know who Steve Kondo is, go out on Facebook and look him up. He doesn't really do anything on YouTube. He makes segmented blanks, and they're fantastic. And a while back, I don't know how, but I ended up winning one in a giveaway he had on Facebook. And he sent me the blank, and I've got it here on my lathe. I'm going to show it to you. It's looking amazing. Here it is. Just take a look at it. It's absolutely gorgeous. I got a few more coats of CA I got to get on it, but it's just an amazing blank. The second part of that turner's bucket list is to learn how to turn these blanks from the master himself. And if I'm not mistaken, in September, Steve is going to be at the Midwest Ohio Valley Pin Turners Gathering up in Belpre, Ohio. And I do believe he's going to be giving a class. And if I'm going to do anything I can to get in that class, because that would be a dream of mine, to learn to turn these Jissy style blanks from a master maker like Steve. So I just can't say enough nice about the blanks or the man. Very good guy. I'm going to keep you posted on how this goes. I'm going to get this blank CA'd, get the rest of the finish on it. I'm going to get it micro meshed and ready to assemble. But I'm going to shoot a second video in conjunction with this one. Jim Zimmerman, I told you this the other day, gave me this Beal buff, this wood buff system. And what I'm going to do is a separate video. I'm going to unbox that, assemble it, put it on the lathe, and I'm going to use that Steve Kondo blank as my first blank that I'm going to buff up and make look phenomenal with this buffing system. So you guys will get a chance to see what's in the box, how it goes together, and the type of job that it does. So I'm hoping that turns out really well. I'd like to release that video, you know, if I can get it made. I'd like to release it maybe on New Year's Day. Because I think a lot of people after New Year's Eve, you know, once the partying's over and people are just home with the day off, relaxing, that they're going to be looking for something to do, and YouTube is going to be a great thing. They're going to go out there and watch videos from their, you know, their creator friends, and hopefully I can have a video out there for you guys, something interesting. So I'll keep you posted. Hey guys, a lot of stuff been going on. Let me show you what happened to me. I'm turning I've always had an issue turning end grain. This is a cracked wood blank sent to me by Pen Blank Manufacturer out of Germany. And he basically takes the wood, you see it's end grain, and he puts it in a press and crushes it, which causes it to crack. And then he puts that in a pressure pot with resin, and he fills the cracks with resin, and it makes an incredible blank. And I had a blowout on this side, and I was able to fix it. I wasn't able to find all the pieces for this side. So what I've done is I've just drilled the other half of the blank. I drilled thin CA right down through the center of it and just soaked it till it was coming out the other side. I soaked CA on the grain on both sides, just put it on there super thick and let it soak in. I'm going to run this back through the drill press just to make sure that I can slide a tube in it. We'll get a tube glued in it, and then as we cut the corners off, because see, when you turn end grain, it comes around on this side, you know, you're not going to pull the grain, but when you get to this side, it can grab that grain and rip it out. And same right here, it can grab it and rip it out. So we're going to cut those corners off to limit the amount of opportunity we have to rip a big chunk out on the opposite side of the blank. I'll flood it with CA again. We'll get it on the lathe, and then periodically through the turning process, I will drill CA all over this blank. I am going to beat this. I have never been able to successfully turn an end grain blank, and that is going to change with this blank. I know what to do now from the first one. So stay tuned. That's not going to happen tonight. My goal tonight is to get the tube in there and have that thing ready to go. You know, tomorrow. I hope to get out here tomorrow. I'm about to call it a night, guys. I'm flat out bushed. I've had a great day in the shop. My heater, I got this kerosene heater, and I've got the door open over there. You can see it open right over there because it just puts out so much heat. It gets a little overwhelming in the shop. So I hate to shut it off and lose the heat because it's like probably 80 degrees in here right now. But I don't really have a choice. I can't let it run all night. So I'm going to get that baby ready to turn. We'll be back out here tomorrow. And oh, I'm also working on this. This is my wife's pen. And what I did is I found that the back half of the pen was actually the wrong way. It was this way, so it didn't line up. So I knocked this part out, flipped it around, and I got that working nice and smooth. This isn't glued in yet, the center band. I just got it stuck in there. This is pressed in really hard. It's holding really well. The deal on the end here, the threads for the nib, I had to glue those in because they were kind of loose. The nib would spin. It should be dry now. I used a little CA on it. I'm going to go ahead and get the nib threaded on there. I found a spring right here in an older ink pen that I had. There's her spring and her ink refill. There's the nib. And I'm going to get this thing put together. I'm not going to finish it tonight. I think what I'll do is I may go ahead and pull this out and get it glued in just on one end and let it set. I don't like to do too much at once because if the CA runs down through the blank, then you end up ruining your blank. So I'll pull this out. You can pull this out by hand. I'll pull this out, put some CA in there, put it back together, let it sit overnight. When I come out tomorrow, then I'll go ahead and glue the other half in, and we will not put the ink refill in until this baby's had plenty of time to fully dry. It's gonna be nice to have it working again. That's it for me, guys. I'm done. I moved Jim's lathe off of my table saw. I'm really nervous about that because I set it over here out of the way. I don't like it being on the floor. I had it covered up with my jacket today so nothing happened to it. I probably will set it back on the table saw, but I've got that cleared off because I'd like to take some of these little chunks over here, these right here, and maybe use this sled back here and try to cut some neat blanks. I don't know. I got some ideas. I like to do a little experimentation, so we'll see what happens. But that's it for me. You guys have a great evening, and I will talk to you again hopefully tomorrow.